Hello, so this is going to be a long video, so fast forward through the parts that matter. I'll give the intro now while we're counting down. It is 6:25 p.m. In Marigot, St. Martin, and right now I'm going to put up the graphic on when it says sunset is. One thing about living on land that is different than living on the ocean is if you just Google when sunset is in an area, like this comment right here, the sunset isn't a light switch, and that seems like duh, but with no trees and no buildings and nothing out here blocking and the water being reflective, your views and your visibility is still greatly visible after sunset. So this video I'm going to run unstopped until lighting goes down. And then I'm going to do a couple of things to show that, you know, I've got no filters on. That's a red gas can. We all know gas can red. There's no filters there. If I aim at this and I turn my bright, you know, that's turning that little sunset thing on the phone. That's turning it all the way up. So I'm putting it right back in the middle where it was. I'm not playing any of those games. I'm not here to prove anything. This is really truly to kind of teach that you can't just Google when sunset is to know when it got dark. And I guess when we live in houses and we lived on land, I never really thought about it. And in a video I did earlier today, there was a blue sailboat where we watched a guy swim. That's right there. And even somebody commented on that video, well, what time of day was this shot? I don't know why they asked that question, but I'm assuming it's because, well, when is things still visible? Now, I don't know that guy. I've never met that guy, so I can't exactly make him jump in the water and swim again. So part of this is an I feel statement, which I really hate when teaching, but I feel like I could still see somebody swimming out there. In fact, like this white boat way back here, I'm not zoomed in on it, and he's turning, but when he turns back around, I can still see his dinghy clear as day behind him. It looks like he has two of them back there. So as we zoom in, what I can see with my eyes, there's a dinghy there. Well, it's a wide bottom girl. I can see that with my eyes, but it doesn't appear on camera. But what you can see after sunset, which is truly not running filters, is I want to show that there's still plenty of light after whatever time Google says sunset is. One thing that can affect that is clouds, obviously, rain, any large mountain ranges. I mean, I grew up in Washington. You don't get sun when the sunset time, and it's because the mountains block it way before the official sunset time. And I honestly don't know how they calculate that in a place like Seattle where you're stuck between two mountain ranges. But out here on the water, you're really not stuck between anything. The same is true for any islands that would be speakable. But right now, I can see kids playing on this boat over here. Now again, you can't with a camera because a camera doesn't give you the same field of view. But I just looked over there. I'm not going to exploit somebody's kids. But I could see them clear as day playing on their boat when I'm just glancing around the anchorage. And what we do for our social media is do sunset lives every night. And one thing that caught me off guard that I'm seeing a lot of in the reporting of the Lynette Hooker situation is people quoting, well, the sunset time on Google said blank. But it still stays light. I'm looking around for anything in the water that might pop up and we can show that we can see it, because we're going to be here for maybe 15, 20, 30 minutes until you all could say, hey, you know, now I might have a hard time seeing somebody that's, you know, 20 feet away, right? So my painter line right here is 10 feet. My dinghy is 10 feet. So the back of that dinghy is 20 feet away. And it's still clear as day. I can read the NS on my motor. I can't read the yellow sticker, but I know this sounds rambling, but I'm trying to show that if you're in a dinghy at water level, so sitting down here like this, the sunset isn't affecting your visibility for a good half hour after sunset. There's a boat moving along over there. I'll zoom in on that. And what I'm trying to do is not prove anybody right or wrong. Again, what I'm doing is I read comments. I am invested in the story. For good or bad, whether I should be or not. Since I have you for 20 minutes, as you fast forward through this to see when it gets dark. Lynette was my wife's friend. And my wife is upset. And I think every amount of energy I could put into helping the public understand some of the differences between boat life and land life will help you understand how well we see out here, what all is visible out here. I don't want to play games where it's like I'll pretend like there's somebody on that boat swimming and I put them out there. Without Marnie here tonight, I don't have a security blanket to play around in the water and prove things without having a safety net. So I'm not gonna play games like that, but I do wanna show that right now is officially 6:32. This is sunset, okay? We can still see everything fine. And again, I'll probably get quiet and stop rambling here at some point because all I'm doing is trying to show the lighting and how long it stays lit and how far out you can truly see. If you're at water level, dinghy height, which I'm at now, I am sitting on my bottom stair here, which puts me at dinghy height. I will agree, if there are waves, you're going to have a problem depending on the wave height. But it's not a lighting problem seeing out here, and it's not a lighting problem for a long time because of how our eyes work. As that sun dims, my eyes adjust with it. And my visibility for the most part stays the same until a certain point. Again, another camera thing. I can see clear as day, there's a boat coming into the anchorage right now and has a steaming light on. I can see that with my naked eye, but on camera, I have to zoom way in. And I think a lot of people don't understand that your field of vision is better than your camera. So when people are out reporting on things and you see it and you're like, there's no way somebody saw something that far away. The camera makes things look far away. To me, that's just right out there at the point. I could see it clear as day. I could see the kids playing on that boat. To make it funny, I could see everything I didn't want to see when they decided to shower off the back of their boat today. But again, I can still see land fine. I can still make out buildings. Now, some things I might not be able to tell exactly what they are. For instance, I was going to point out that there's a person at this building right here, but they haven't moved in a minute, so it might not be a person. It's whatever that white thing is right there. But with my naked eye, I can, oh, it looks like a board just leaning up against it. But with my naked eye, I can see that clear as day, and that's a half a mile away, as we figured out earlier today. So my visibility isn't controlled by the time the sunset says on Google. But I have seen, like I said, I put one comment up. I don't know which one it is, and I'm going to scratch out the name because I've seen it 100 times in looking at the details and watching the coverage of this case that, well, the sunset was this time. So it got dark like he said, or it didn't get dark like he said, or people are arguing about what time you can see. And I just want to show that the sun on the water isn't a light switch like it could be in land. We don't have buildings blocking us. But again, we got light cloud cover tonight, nothing major. We got some coming in over there. It is actually a really pretty sunset. Oh yeah, see, I can see clear as day. There's a family on the beach over there, which is a half mile away. I can see them. I can also see Josh on my friend Josh on his boat, scratching his head. But if I zoom in here, there is a family right there. And it's the hard thing about getting our coverage from a screen, from somebody with a camera. Because if I try and line up the zoom with what I see with my eyes, and I look at the screen, that's how clearly I see them from where I am, right? And that's zoomed in 4 times. So it took me a few days to put this video out because I really did feel like I was cheating by zooming and I didn't quite understand the physics behind this. And I went on and I researched it and I found out that yes, a cell phone camera has a field of view that you would have to zoom in 4 times to see what the naked eye sees. This right here explains it if you want to look it up, but I got stuck on that for a while because I am not a camera expert and I do not want to speak about things I don't know. What my screen says. But what I am seeing out here, wow, my screen looks almost identical to my eyes. And I'm sure there's camera people out there who know the math. See the speedboat coming in here. But when you're watching a cameraman or on CBS or any one of those, anybody that's in the area and you're like, yeah, the visibility sucks or you can't see or that looks like a really long distance. It does on the camera, but it doesn't in person. I was swiping up to see what time it was to see how long it's been. So again, as you sit here and we look, do you think you could see something in the water? And for how long after? And those determinations are made by people greater than me. But I think if you're into the narrative and you're following the story and you're wanting answers and it's important to you, that it's important you understand how light works on the water. It's important you understand how a dry bag works. It's important that you understand how sound carries on the water. I don't know if it's picking up on camera, but there are motorcycles somewhere on shore over a mile away that just echo across this anchorage right now. It's not that I'm gunning for or trying to go after anybody with what I am covering or saying. It's because I see the same comments, and if you're that invested that you're trying to go in there and comment that you believe something, I'm trying to help you have the information to help you continue your search. And that's part of what this is just showing that we can still see. Again, waves will play a factor, but not a factor in losing sight of somebody rapidly, not in a 10-minute span. We've been on this recording for 13 minutes. Even if the waves were crashing, you could still track somebody. There's 3 people on that boat. And the other thing I wanted to point out is as we saw the kids playing on that one boat, and I'll zoom in on these poor guys here. It's sunset. Around sunset is the time everybody's on the back of their boat. Everybody's generally not being blinded by the sun anymore. They're not getting baked by the sun anymore. And people come out and start moving around. So in my opinion, if you were to have something happen, this is the best time of day to have it happen. Almost everybody who lives on boats is making dinner. They're at home. They're sitting on the back. This is the time you look forward to all day. That's just kind of like, and for that, I wanted to show that here we are 10 minutes after sunset, and my visibility is still fine to the blue boat, which is, as we determined earlier today, almost a half a mile away, or half a knot, or whatever unit of measurement you want to use. If there was somebody in the water between me and that blue boat, I would see them. The other thing too, which these wakes that were caused by that boat we saw over there, is a video I will try and make about waves and wave height and wave interval. There's kind of a, 2 to 3 foot waves is kind of a big deal. We've been out here with 2 to 3 foot waves. We had to rescue a boat a couple months ago with 2 to 3 foot waves, but it looks different. I'm not gonna pretend like it is easy to see everybody in 2 to 3 waves, but the interval matters. So the sun has gone down. It's now been down for 10 minutes. There's nobody, if I go through the metrics on this, that stayed and watched and listened to this whole 10 minutes. Because 10 minutes is a long time. And I just wanted to show everybody that it's not a light switch out here. That just because Google said the sun went down at 6:32, I can still see the family in red right over there just fine. I don't think Googling the time of day that the sun went down is as important as trying to figure out what the cloud cover was. Trying to figure out, was it raining? Those to me are things I would like to know more than what time the sun set, because sunset out here isn't going to be for another 15-20 minutes visibility wise. This is, for us in this lifestyle, I believe the best time of day. And that's why, as I look through these boats, I can see that, people are sitting on their back deck. Their lights aren't on yet, as far as cabin lights, back deck lights. My lights aren't on. Everything's still pretty visible. And again, just for those that think I was hitting buttons in here, there's turning the brightness all the way down. There's turning the brightness all the way up. And there's right in the middle, which is natural. I'm not trying to play games. I'm not trying to indict or exonerate anybody. I'm just trying to stop that one comment thread of, it was dark because the sun set at 6:32 argument. So this will be a 20-minute video that goes up on YouTube. I don't expect you to watch it all. But as you can see, 20 minutes, 18 minutes. Let me do the exact math. We'll go 3 more minutes, because that'll be 15 minutes after sunset. I still got plenty of visibility for half a mile. There's shore over there. If I go to 4 times, like I told you guys, is my viewpoint. Oh, that was a little too far. We're just now starting to see darkness activated lights kick on my dinghy. Actually, this would be a really good time. this would be a really good time to show. I have a light that's on the top of my dinghy right here. And as much as standing here holding the camera is boring as heck, and you watching this is going to be even more bored. I know you're not listening to this part, but I'm trying to show that that light won't come on until the sensor thinks it's dark. But as soon as it gets dark enough, and whatever that setting is, the light will automatically kick on. So I think we'll sit here until my dinghy light kicks on, because that's when my boat says it's dark enough. Again, as we scan the water, I still feel with my eyes that I have complete visibility. I do have to be careful. I see someone in the water behind their boat, and I wanted to zoom over and say, like, see, you can see this person in the water. I can't tell their clothing level. This is France. So I'm gonna zoom out. But right on the back of that boat, there's somebody in the water right there. But we'll just leave it at that. I can see that far away. And the thing, too, is how close we all are packed into an anchorage. I do not know how busy the anchorage was that night. But if there's no boats blocking your view, then you're going to be able to see somebody. Like, I'm aiming in this spot right here because it's the wide open spot with no boats out any distance that somebody would drift away. But the only thing that's blocking my view as I look out across the water for at least a half a mile or more looking for a person is boats. Well, if there's boats blocking your view, then there's people too. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about that. Sorry again, for people who want to know what the lighting conditions are like and what it's like on water versus on land. If we look over here on land, you can just see the darkness in the trees is different than when this video started. You can see it's darker on land because buildings and foliage and everything blocks light. But the water actually reflects it, which keeps it brighter longer. Oh, and my light just came on. So that is 15 minutes after sunset. So this long rambling video will be posted for people who want to understand how light works on the water. I don't expect you guys to watch it all. I don't even care, but I want something to point somebody to when I explain that the sun doesn't just turn off like a light switch.